Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is going to be a fun one for me. This is my maker's project for 2023, and I think this is going to come out quite nice. What you're looking at here is a big chunk of red marble, which I intend on making into a bird bath, which is something I've never dreamed of doing before, or even working on this kind of scale. This is the bottom of the bird bath here, and it had this kind of little high point, so I needed to chisel that down. It's kind of in the center as well, so this is good to be able to work some of those bits off. And I just kind of went around with the cold chisel and knocked it down a little bit, and it worked quite well. One thing that is important here about bird baths, and one of the things I wanted to, do here, is have a bird bath that is good for birds. A lot of bird baths that you see on the market, they're not good. They're often too deep, and they don't have a nice place for a bird to land. So I'm kind of leaving a lot of rough rock around the perimeter of my bird bath, which will give them plenty of space to be able to land. And I'm also going to have the bath portion have a little bit of taper to it, so there's like a shallow end and a deep end. Different birds are going to require different things, so that's what my plan is here. The plan of attack for getting the material out, carving out the bowl, is to use my angle grinder with a diamond cutoff wheel, and I'm going to cut these cross hatches here. It worked really well. You can kind of see that the dust is blowing away. I actually have a fan set up to my back as well as a respirator on, and I'm just letting the dust blow away. So once I have these cross hatches kind of cut in place, I come back through with a hammer and chisel and just knock them out. It worked out really well. It made short work of it. There are, of course, better tools for this. There's a lot of masonry tools, and angle grinders that have integrated water, variable speed. I don't have any of that for this. This is my first time doing anything like that, and you can see already just with the angle grinder, we have a little bit of a pool here, and it worked out quite well. So time to continue that whole process. And you might also notice that, it's quite green back there. I actually started this project in the fall of 2022 since I knew that this was coming. And it's very hard to do this type of work outside where I live in the wintertime. And I wanted to have this done. So I kind of started the process early. Time to grind out some of those chunks, and to do that I'm just using a concrete surface grinder that you'd get at Home Depot. There are contoured kind of bowl carvers for this, where it has kind of looks like a little more like a donut, so you can use the angle of that to radius the inside of stuff. But yeah, it's starting to look more and more like a bird bath, which is fun for me. You can see we got these deep kind of cuts here, which, man, you really got to move it around and work those out. It was a little hard. I was trying to gauge the depth of the cuts really well, and, it worked quite well for what it was. So very, very pleased with how it came out. It holds a decent amount of water, which is good, and you can kind of see I'm kind of propping it up because the stand's going to make it be totally level, and it will hold about that amount of water. And here we are, about a little over an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, and that is the perfect depth. But we got all these scratches that we need to get out, and that's that 36 grit wheel was a lot. So I'm going to start this off by using some diamond pads, and they're a little flexible. I started here using my cordless drill, and although it did work really well, it started to get warm, and I started to get a little concerned with potentially burning out my good Milwaukee drill, so I switched over to the corded drill. And this is what I did going up through all the different stages, all the different grits to polish this thing up. And it was definitely time consuming. I took it up to a 3000 grit with this process, and it came out quite well. I didn't really see much point in doing kind of like a mirrored lapidary style polish with, like, cerium oxide, anything like that. Just wanted to make this nice. After all, it is going to have water in it. Here we go, all nice and dry. I'm quite happy with how this came out. I think it looks good. I like the play of light because it's a little wavy, right? It's not entirely flat down here on the bottom, so we kind of get this like odd shimmering happening, which is pretty. I like the contrast of the rough rock with the polished bowl area. So now we need to start working on the base for this, which that'll be a nice change of pace because it's going to be mostly in the shop. Time to work on this base. What you're looking at here is ornamental wrought iron, usually used in the manufacturing of fences, gates, things like that. And well, I actually have quite the welding and fabrication background, not something I've really ever talked about here on the channel, but I've done my fair share of welding, so this isn't anything new to me, but it's fun to be able to combine two hobbies, skills, whatever you want to call it, into one project of doing stonework and a little bit of metalwork. Pretty much I have all these little clamps kind of holding it all in place, and it's wired together. There's a center rod, and I'm just throwing some beads on there, hold it together, and throw a coat of paint on it when I'm all done, and hey, I have a bird bath. Overall, quite pleased with the project. I think the base looks really nice. It looks a little precarious as it's on there, but it really fits quite well. I like the kind of impossible look to it. When it's not being used as a bird bath, though, it does have alternative uses.
You eating out of a bird bath?
Overall, I'm very happy with how my Makers project worked out. I've wanted to do large format stonework for a long time. This was me dipping my toes into it, and I think it came out pretty well. Before getting this video completed, I have not been able to capture a good photo of a bird using it, mostly because up here where I live, it's still pretty cold out. Bird baths are more of a spring, summertime activity for the birds. But yeah, this came out really nice, and now that I kind of know how to do this, I think I could make some improvements with some better tools, as well as some different form factors that I could make some big kind of bowls or even smaller things using some of the techniques that I learned here doing this. That wraps up my Makers Challenge. Enjoy all the other amazing creators. Depending on when you're watching this, there will be links down below this video to all the other great creators that are producing amazing videos this week. Go watch those, and I will catch you guys on the next video.